Yo, you have just entered the Garden Room podcast. My name is Samo, and this is
Jamira Love.
beautiful vocals today.
Thank you.
Did you drunk water before?
I did, and I had lightly salted Lay's.
We're gonna get into that another time.
That's fine.
Because we got to have the lightly salted.
We're gonna get it
Lay's
sponsored.
Okay, no, I'm gonna go ahead and. Oh no, I'm gonna save it for next time. No,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it to the people.
Give it to him.
No, okay. There's a guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was saying that for a vocalist, that you must eat lightly salted Lay's chips for your vocal cords to be lubricated.
For good vocals.
For when you sing. I've never tried it. I probably never will. But on this podcast, we're going to see if it helps us out before, we start podcasting.
I can think of some other lubricants that have helped.
The subjects that we have for today, absolutely. Huh? Okay. First off, how's everybody doing out there? It's so good to see y'all again. So good to be with y'all. I'm still stuck on her saying
Simone, This is the Garden Room podcast. Did we do that already? I'm sorry, guys. This is episode 2.
I promise you, she's not on any drugs. She hasn't smoked anything.
I haven't even had anything to drink.
We ain't even drink the wine. This is just her. Naturally amazing.
Can you imagine a night with me? Okay, I quit.
A night on the town.
I'll stop. Yeah, a night on the town, a night shop. Yeah.
A night what? Okay. Today's topic.
Forgiveness.
Let me drink some wine right now.
You don't
want to?
I ain't forgiving these hoes.
You got to forgive so you can move on.
I moved on. They 7 feet under. When they go low, I go lower to the ground.
Why you ain't gonna forgive the people?
I ain't here. We growing and healing on this show. That's what they said.
Well, that's good. What is that?
That's giving lubrication.
Okay. Forgiveness. It's a very hard thing to do depending on the level of trifling that people go to or can go to. Mm-hmm. And not just friends. It can be family. It can be, significant others. How have you forgiven? How do you forgive? Like, does it take you a while? Are you quick with it? Like, you know what, you did something that was trifling.
So, I want to give a couple of examples. In my past, I was the girl, especially in relationships that went bad. I was the girl that just like, no, you gonna hurt like I hurt. Like, you gonna feel this. Like, I was definitely that girl. But now I realize that like giving someone that much power makes your healing process longer. And I'm just not for overextending. I'm not for like allowing anyone to have that much power over me anymore. So it's just like, you do something, okay, I'll deal with that and I'll release it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as forgiveness, God forgives me daily.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But just because I forgave you does not mean I have to allow you in my space. I have created a beautiful space of peace and serenity. And if you do not deserve to be in my space, you have got to go. So that's where I'm at too. But yes, a time that I've forgiven. Oh, I can talk about this. So I have a beautiful child. And I was engaged and I called off my engagement. And the situation's bad. I can't talk about that. But what I can talk about is the fact that I had definitely, just like anyone who's engaged, like you just plan to spend your whole life with this person, right? And I think for me, when everything went to shambles, I could have handled the situation so much better. And I owe my son's father a huge apology because regardless of whatever happened, he's still my child's father. And that situation deserves so much privacy because, you know what I mean? Like we still have a kid together.
Yeah.
And so I think just like years of growth and healing and learning how to communicate properly, because that's a huge thing that people don't want to accept and talk about. But forgiveness, it just has so many layers to it, man. Like, that situation took for me to first forgive him, secondly to forgive myself, because I kept feeling guilty for like accepting some of the things that I accepted in their relationship, and then also for, you know what I mean? It was so much. I think it was harder to forgive myself than to forgive him. I just could not let go of the fact that you did this. You saw the signs, you should have left. Things were bad. You know what I mean? Like, you did this. You caused this. And when my son was like crying in the middle of the night when we first, switched homes, I'm like, oh my God, this is your fault. He's crying for daddy. You left. Like you're awful. You should have stuck in there. And it's like, when I finally was able to find some type of like place of, Jamira, you're human. You're human first. And you have got to learn how to show yourself grace the way you show other people grace. And you're a mother, which means that, you know what I mean? Like, you literally have a human form of your heart beating out there. And, when you split from someone that you share a child with, it's not just about like your healing process. It's about theirs too. So I also had to show myself grace because I had never experienced that before. It was always me, 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 me. You get what I'm saying? So now I'm like, I'm trying to learn how to heal and also be strong so my son doesn't think that thinks that everything's okay. But we'll talk about that later in the podcast. So yeah, you can talk about the time you figured me.
The way you just ended that, did you feel like you were talking too much?
A little bit, because I was about to go there and I was like,
no,
we
you
can
shouldn't.
wait.
You should never feel like you're talking too much. I think
This is a podcast.
Yeah, I think what you have to say is important. It's going to help somebody.
That's fair. Okay, I'm going to continue. Thanks. Yeah. Anyway, so where did I stop? Because I stopped so abruptly and I put that in a box.
It was almost like stopping a car. I want to expound off of that really quick. Okay, I think a lot of us do that. Excuse me. Where we feel like we're too much. I know we're talking about forgiveness.
I told you that in the car earlier. I said, I'm just so much.
I think you're just enough. Yeah, I think you felt like you're too much because you weren't received well before at times. And because you have a lot of love to give, you're like a gallon type person. And I think you've given to a lot of pints. And for some people, your love may have drowned them because you weren't supposed to give that much to them. And so that makes you feel like you're too much. So.
That was good.
Yeah. Not even to put you on blast.
No, thank you. No, because that's the thing. We know each other. You know me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know stuff. And I think that was extremely accurate.
I also think this goes for me too. You should absolutely stand on this 10 toes. You have a mic in front of you for a reason.
Absolutely.
So use that microphone.
Absolutely.
What you have to say is important.
Okay. Where did I end?
I don't know, but I just wanted to check you on that.
Okay. So yeah. Basically, long story short.
Yeah.
When it comes to and I definitely want to have an episode at some point about co-parenting and things like that. But going through that entire process of just feeling guilty. On our last podcast, we had a quote. It was put yourself before the guilt.
Oh man.
Right?
Yes, Lord.
And that I allowed that to sit with me a little bit because if I would have put myself before the guilt, I felt I would have healed from that situation so much sooner. You know what I mean? Like, I allowed that guilt to totally take control over my health. Like the way I shut myself off from my friends. I remember looking up one day like, damn, I left every message on read. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't seen my friends in 4 months.
Did you feel embarrassed?
Yeah, totally embarrassed and just ashamed. And like I said, guilt is it's so dangerous. And like I said, forgiveness just has so many layers. But in this season of my life, which is why I can say I owe my son's father an apology, is because I realized that we're not perfect. And in that season, we bonded through a lot of trauma. You know what I mean? And so regardless of, whether I grew first or he grew first or whatever, we grew separately. You get what I'm saying? And regardless of who we ran to or who ran to whoever, you know what I mean? Like, he was owed that time to grow. You know what I mean? Without me telling his business or without me, you know what I mean? Putting our household outside in the universe. Like, he should have been allowed to grow through, you get what I'm saying, that experience. And I think for me now moving forward, through any situation, I don't have to like just talk about it to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, forgiveness can be something just between you and that person or between you and God. Like, you're not even going to always get the opportunity to sit across from somebody and say, I forgive you. You get what I'm saying? Like, I had a friend of mine who passed away in my arms, and we had like got into it the day before, and I never got to say like, I forgive you. And it took me like years to be like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, I carried that guilt. And so, like I said, guilt and forgiveness and all the things, they all coincide. And like I said, there's so many layers we're going to break down in this podcast. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm looking up because I'm getting emotional. Look, these things be deep. I'm like, let me look up. Reset, bitch, reset. But no, yes, a time that I've had to forgive someone was my child's father. And it was because our plans did not go the way that, you know what I mean, I felt like I had invested them to. And I feel like when you invest your time into anything, if you go to college for 4 years and you get all your credits, you've invested to get your degree. So someone was just like, oh, we're not going to give you a degree. It's like, what you mean you're not going to give me my degree? And you still expect me to pay student loans? No, we're not doing that. I'm about to burn this whole school down. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think with growth, it comes, okay, I didn't get my degree, but I know I earned that degree. You know what I mean? Like, I know for a fact I went to class every day. I did A, B, C, D. I earned that. And I don't need that piece of paper to tell me that my value is what it is because of, you get what I'm saying, this thing that someone didn't give me, that validation. No, I did the work. I earned, even in that situation, I was an amazing woman. I deserved to be his wife, but it just wasn't supposed to be his wife. You get what I'm saying? I went through that process of what I felt like it took to, you get what I'm saying? Like, be selfless and be a mom and be a wife and all those things. Oh, y'all, this is deep and I'm talking a lot. This is good. I can go on and on and on about forgiveness. I want to hear you.
What you want to hear?
What's the time that you've had to, where's the time where you've had to forgive yourself? I think we talk a lot about forgiving others, but we don't talk enough about forgiving ourselves. This podcast is heavy. I'm like, wait, the other one was so much fun.
I'm young. I just want to turn up.
I know, right? We outside.
I don't want to be working through stuff. You feel me? I'm outside. The time I had to forgive myself. I think on some real, I honestly can't think of nothing right now. That might be a problem. Maybe because you put me on the spot, I'm not good at being put on the spot.
I can think of a time you had to forgive yourself.
Okay.
I don't know if I can talk about it on here, though. You remember our conversation that we had on the boat in Kawa? And how guilty you felt?
Oh my gosh. You know, I actually can't talk about that.
Okay.
Because fair. I said for the month of, well, this month that we're in, I'm not going to speak about that for a month.
That's fair.
I'm forcing myself to move on. In a sense, forcing myself because I've talked about it so much. I don't want it to taint anything that God is bringing in my life that's new.
That's good.
You know, so I'm just like, I felt to shut up. I felt to hush, you know. But that's good though.
Yeah. What about a time that you've had to...
No. Okay, I can go there a little bit.
Okay.
I got you. I had to forgive myself for letting people go that I knew were used to needing me. I knew that their life wouldn't be as abundant without me being around. I knew the value, I knew the weight that I held in their life, but I
That's
also
good.
knew that our time together was up. And I felt so guilty. I went through like 2 or 3 weeks of just feeling bad every day because I knew I had to do something. It's almost like working in HR.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to work in HR and be firing people. Them people be going off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
It's
ain't got
like, well,
nothing to do
I
with
didn't
you.
fire you, the other people, but they hire you to tell somebody they got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, there's a few people that was in my life, I just knew I'm the only person that is the most spiritual in their life that they come to and talk about things. I know once I leave, that ain't gonna have nobody to talk to. But then I also had to remember, I'm not God. And before they met me, they were living, and they gonna live after me.
Mm-hmm.
And who am I to think, oh, but they need me, and they might.
My grandma used to always say, girl, you ain't self-righteous with your little self-righteous ass. You ain't God. And I used to be like, girl, you didn't have to come for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, I get it now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's one of those things where when you have a huge heart and you have the spirit of selflessness to just like love abundantly, you know what I mean? It's really hard for you to be able to like kind of pull that back in a sense of like protecting yourself and protecting your space. When it comes to like, oh, God, did you send this person to me? Or is this person an assignment?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like if I don't do whatever needs to be done within this friendship or this relationship, you get what I'm saying? Like how long is it going to take me to get to the next blessing? And I always have to hear her voice in my head and say, let it go. If it's meant to be, you know what I mean? It'll be, but let it go.
This revelation just came to me, and it was, people don't need you as much as you think they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people with good hearts, with big hearts, we think that we're here to save the world.
Yeah.
And we're here to save the world sometimes. And most times you're just here to connect with the people around you. And some of that saving that you feel like, I got to save this person, I got to save that person, it's really you crying out for help.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanting to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
So I also noticed that recently, like the people that I had to let go of that I was feeling so guilty about, they're doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing okay. They didn't need me. I was actually a crutch. So
I was in a situation here recently where I was in a situationship, and
dun, 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 dun.
I can't say a relationship because that was not my man. He was for the streets and
Hold
he was
on.
for me.
We on the camera. I don't want to salon you. Don't touch my hair.
Why are you always trying to sing better than me?
I could never. Just do this, because the plant was like,
Oh, the plan was messing me up.
yeah. Bet.
Thank you. Okay. I don't know what I was saying.
I know. You was in a situationship.
Oh.
Come on, tell us your business.
Okay.
No, I'm playing.
So I was in a situationship and the person like reached out to me on some like, hey, this situation happened and I need help. And if basically like, if you don't help, this huge blessing that I feel like God has for me is not going to happen. And I was like, okay. So I went out of my way to do that thing. And in my head, he called on me because he valued me. But as soon as I did that thing, I didn't hear from him for a while. And I was like, oh my God. He doesn't value me. He values my resources. And it killed me because that whole place of like self-righteousness or whatever, I realized I do that for everyone. And I was like, oh my God, am I like paying for friendships? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, am I doing all these things to like prove my value to people instead of just naturally being myself and allowing, you know what I mean, people to naturally attract me? And I absolutely was. And I was like, Jamari, you have got to find your value again. And that was really hard for me to find my value outside of my success.
I think that's a thing that we're gonna always have to do: find our value again and again. Because every level we go to, we have to find the new of everything. Because a lot of people are really good at their craft, but they're horrible human beings. They're
Horrible.
horrible at being themselves. They don't know who they are anymore because
Somebody asked me the other day. She was like, "Oh, such and such asked you for that advice," and I was like, "It's like, why didn't they ask me?" And I was like, "I don't know. Why don't you ask them?" And she's like, "I am." And she calls them. And he's like, "Because I wanted Jamira's opinion. I didn't want yours." Now, in the credible sense of paper, she's more credible as far as, you know, oh, I did things by the book. But when it comes to the way that I make people feel, you get what I'm saying? Because of the things that I've experienced and the things that I've gone through, no, I might not have the best resume. But when it comes to the life lessons that I've learned, I'm light years beyond many people because of the way that my spirit is set up and the way that God has me, you know what I mean, going down that road. And when he called, you know what I mean, I was just like, dot, 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 dot. Here's the scripture, dot, 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 dot. And that's the funniest thing when he gave her the example. He was like, you wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have felt comfortable being that vulnerable with you to even say, oh man, I've never heard that scripture. I'm gonna hold on to that. You wouldn't have given me that. Like, she was the person to call. And I think sometimes, like I said, we just get caught up in our egos to say, I think like I'm that bitch, you know what I mean? Or I'm that nigga. And everybody should, for you, who's singing me down the table? I don't know many people who can sing you down the table.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a life flex compliment. You're welcome. But I don't know many people who can sing you down the table. But that doesn't mean that me going to someone else's concert or me going to someone else's show is not going to touch me more than me coming to yours.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So it's like, people are attached to you in different seasons for different lessons and reasons. And I think that we shouldn't feel guilty for, you know what I mean, accepting whatever calling that is. Yeah.
What's some things that you could tell the people listening how they can start to forgive? What did you do?
Like how to move on after you've forgiven someone?
No.
What you're asking?
No, that's a whole nother thing.
Okay.
That's my song. Moving On is great for that. Shameless
You got a
plug.
song for everything, child.
I do.
Y'all go pull it up. I'm telling y'all, he saved me from jail.
Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you saved me from catching a case. Life sentence. Death sentence. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
What was your question again? I'm sorry, Fred.
How do you start to forgive when somebody has done something that you know they can't come back from?
That's good. That's good. I'm currently one of my really close friends said something to me. And I know that what she said, I will never unhear. And I'm having a hard time processing that. And I hate when people try to be like, no, we need to talk about it now. No, I need to process that. Because your I'm sorry isn't enough for the thing that you said. Because now I can't unsee that. So now, like, you know what I mean? A part of our friendship, I feel like, died a little bit. So I think during my process of trying to figure out, like, how do we have this conversation and how do I deal with this? I sat there to say, okay, let me really write down the pros and cons of our friendship. Let me really write down the pros and cons of our conversations as far as when I've needed her and when I've gone to her, you know what I mean, for certain things, how she's come through for me and how she's shown up for me. And to say, did she really mean what she said? You get what I'm saying? Because I take people's words for exactly what they are. You get what I'm saying? Like, you say something to me? All right. But I also realized, when she did apologize, she said something about, I was deflecting. And the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, bitch, you was. You know what I mean? Like, you was, and you almost got your motherfucking ass beat, But in the same breath, it's like, I got to show that girl grace because she's literally shown up for me every single time. Every single time. Now, this is the next part of that. We've had this conversation. If it doesn't change, now we have a problem. Because now you're not valuing my season of peace. You get what I'm saying? Like if I gotta keep asking you to do something, you don't respect where I'm at in my season. Therefore, you can't be in my season. Because the things that I accepted as a 20-year-old, I'm not accepting as a 30-year-old. So you can't say, oh, well, that was our friendship in our 20s. It's not our friendship in our 30s. I'm not that person anymore. So do you need to stay back there because you can? Shit.
Or the road is splitting.
Yeah, the road is splitting.
Some people don't stay behind. It's just the road is splitting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the other question that I asked you? I asked you something else. I said, oh, how to move on after you've forgiven someone.
I can smile like that because I have moved on after forgiving somebody. How I moved on after forgiving somebody was giving myself a new narrative. Versus like, I was on the Terrell show one time and I had recently been ghosted, right? And so now I don't tell this story the same way. It's more so like, I had a shorty that it just didn't work out. And that's how it ended. That's how God intended it for it to end. Versus I was ghosted and I was done wrong.
Man, listen, I
can't be a victim.
one time, and baby, let me tell you, that was probably one of the top 5 most traumatic experiences of
Ain't
my
it
life.
traumatic?
And I realized this was because of my ego.
You know, and I'm a guy, so you can imagine. You can imagine how I was like, yo, me? How do we both know to me? Me?
Me, nigga?
Good,
oh, motherfucking cat. You heard
good
that,
me?
That Boosie meme? I'm a cat.
Good me? Like,
I'm a good man.
Answering
I'm a
the
good
phone,
husband. I take care of my kids.
answering the phone every time you call me and I'm actually busy? Me? You know I'm really for you, me?
How?
You gonna do this to me?
You gonna do this to me? You gonna ghost me? You gonna disrespect
You know
me?
I love you, me. You gonna do this to me?
That's-
And guess what? Guess what I realized? Yep. Sure did. Shorty said, I'm choosing me.
Yeah.
But, you know, let me drink off that.
You have sound effects? Oh, no, you made up yourself. Okay. Slap. My mind was somewhere else.
But I realized, you know what, Simone? People can leave you and they gonna leave you. You just don't leave yourself. But how I moved on was I dug into nature. I dug into, when I say nature, I mean just getting outside. You know, I started praying more because I needed God. I needed God during that time. My heart was broken. I couldn't put it back. My heart was broken and I couldn't put it back myself.
God is a jealous God. He'll isolate you if you're worshiping someone else. He'll make everything fall off to where you have nothing. You can't do anything but depend on him. For those who are favored, and that I done been there. I don't want that. You know, I'm like, I don't want that. God, I don't want you to take everything I know to where I can only look at you. That was probably, I was dealing with postpartum depression and I was going through that. And I actually attempted to commit suicide. That was one of the heaviest moments of my life. And it was something I will never forget. And it was because in a season where you're isolated and it's because God wants to hear from you, or God is jealous and feels like you're worshiping someone else and he wants you to spend time with him, and you can't hear his voice, that should drive you crazy. I'm telling y'all. Just because you can't hear God's voice doesn't mean that he's not trying to get to you. Anything that touches you, God had to allow to touch you. Anything that touches you, God allowed to touch you. So therefore, be very intentional about what it is you're hearing. It's not that he allowed those things to touch you to beat you up. Some of those things, it's like, hey, I need you to hear this so you never go to this place again. Or, hey, I need you to see this so that we can fix it, so that I can take you to that next level. Hey, I need you to take this more seriously because abundance is literally hanging over your head. And instead of, you know what I mean, looking at what's it, glass half empty or glass half full, whatever. Instead of looking at it that way, a lot of times we're like, oh my God, the world is over. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this is the worst thing. And it's like, learn how to filter those things. Learn how to, you know what I mean, channel that negative energy and turn it into God's voice. I promise y'all that's the only thing that saved my life. So that might have been a little off topic, but I feel like it was still kind of on topic.
Everything is all connected.
Everything's all connected.
Everything is all connected.
Everything is all connected.
Everything is all connected.
Can we go viral for that?
Maybe.
Y'all, make us go viral. We want some money. We want to, help heal, but we want some money too.
You didn't say we want to help impact the world. We want some money. But you know what?
We want both.
I want both.
People be lying. People be like, I don't want any money if nothing comes from this. I'll be fine as long as I impacted one life. No.
I've been there before, though.
Where?
Like, I just want to impact one life. But that's 'cause
I've been there before, too.
That's before I had some stuff. Now I'm like, I want some more. I ain't gonna lie. I want some more. I ain't gonna lie.
That's not even of God, though. To not be an expectant.
I'm glad it ain't.
To desire nothing more than the minimum. That's not of God. You know what I mean? I don't know who taught us that. But that's not of God.
I think people just didn't want us to get more excited or indulge so much in the luxuries of things or becoming shallow.
Okay.
It's too
So
late.
we're about to end this, but first, all right, we got 2 more things. First, give 3 steps to helping forgive without closure. Or we can both. You can give 2, I'll give 1.
Okay. Step number 1 with that is you don't need that last conversation. You want it, but you don't need it. And sometimes the last conversation will prolong the healing process.
Step number 2. Sometimes forgiving yourself is enough. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to carry that guilt. You don't have to carry that burden of, oh my God, the lady that, I bumped into at the grocery store earlier that I'll never see again. You can't hear me say I'm sorry. No, it's okay. You forgiving yourself is enough.
Number 3, you do not have to get an apology to get the lesson out of what happened. So if you are walking around like,
have to get an apology out of the lesson that happened.
You do not have to get an apology to get the lesson
Got it.
out of what happened.
Okay.
The point is, what did I get from this situation? What did I learn from being around this person? Not, you never apologized to me. So what? Move on. There's so much more life to live. Now, apologies do feel good.
They do.
They do.
I don't understand what's so hard about saying, like, apologize.
Pride, or people are too embarrassed to come apologize. They feel like, I've done enough. A lot of people want to apologize. They just are afraid of the actions of the person that they have harmed.
Okay.
So it's not that they don't care. They're just afraid to do more damage.
Okay. So last episode, I asked Samo 2 questions that were personal. So I feel like it's only fair that he is able to ask me 2 questions.
When's the last time you had sex? I'm playing. Don't answer that, girl. I'm joking. No.
It's time.
What do you and your son do that you have never shared with everybody? Like, what's y'all's private thing? Like, okay, son, we're about to go do our favorite thing. What is that thing?
We watch, we watch like home tours, like property home tours. And we always like imagine what our dream home will look like, and we'll like sketch it out, or like we have like a sketchbook of like what our dream homes will look like and how we're going to build it and where, and like the colors and the fabrics. And I don't think I've ever, oh my God, I've never told anyone that, but that's our thing. And we I love it. I love you, OJ. That's my best friend.
Your
y'all.
eyes are getting watery.
I know, because that's my best friend. Okay. I'll say this and I won't go too deep. His favorite song, yeah, it's so funny. His favorite song is Rags to Riches. And I'm like, nigga, you been living good. Like, why you feel that? So he be like, Rags to Riches. Like, boy, you should not be feeling that like that. But one of my mentors, Keisha, she told me the other day, she said, Jamira, he understood. He was at an age where he understood when you were going through that. And you probably thought he was so young that he didn't, but he did. And it took me back to like me getting my car repossessed and him being at the window like, Mommy, somebody's taking our car. Like, when he first started like really, talking and me being like, okay, baby, it's okay. It's like, no, let's go after. We can't just allow them to take our car. And then the next morning, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a whole thing. And for us to be at a place now where we can go to a lot and pick out whatever car we want is just like that's my best friend. Like, he doesn't judge me. I have my moments where like kids are so brutally honest. He'll be honest and I'll be like insecure. And he'll be like, Mommy, did that hurt your feelings? I'll never say that again to you. Can we talk about it? And I told Mike this the other day. I said, or I might have told you, I don't know which one of y'all. I said, he is everything that I'm not. And I was like, or that I aspire to be. He's the good in me. So I don't want to say he's everything that I'm not. He is the good in me all the time. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I hope this world don't change you. You know what I mean? Because he is everything that I need, that I've needed in the roughest seasons of my life. And I'm so glad that I didn't end my life because I know for a fact that I'm the same thing for him. Yeah. We gotta end this motherfucking podcast. I'm out there saying that. Niggas is saying that.
Yeah, I don't even think I should ask you another question. I think that's... Y'all don't be like her. Express yourselves.
Don't be like me, crying. This makeup took time.
No.
I did not wake up like this.
But you know what? I think it's very beautiful that you and your son have that relationship.
That's my homie. Okay, I'm ready for my singing lesson.
Okay.
Whew. Because I'm going to kill this shit today. Last time I gave like Jill Scott. I think this time I want to go for like Mariah Carey.
Can you give me... Okay, we can take it up. What's the melody again? I forgot. My wine is down.
Mike?
What's the melody, Mike? Okay, I'm going to take it up for you. You want to do Mariah? Okay. It's time for the Garden Room Podcast.
You are such a show out. I didn't know that about you. Wow, the disrespect. I am astonished. It's the audacity for me.
That was my bare minimum.
It's time for the Garden Room Podcast.
Come on! Hey.
Okay, y'all, this episode was amazing. Again, we know it's not hard to forgive, but we also know that a part of your healing process is just something you got to do. So figure that shit out. Call Samo. Don't call me because I'm still figuring it out. I'm working.
Come on my live. We can talk about it.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the Garden Room Podcast.
Bye.
You just said bye. Thank you for watching the Garden Room Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Garden Room Podcast. Wherever you are, try your best to forgive as much as you can.
Go comment below and give us some more topics to talk about next week.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Peace, y'all.